What a bullet! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day, and Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby!
Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Have a shot.
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Hello and welcome to the TurfCast podcast. Assuming it's all working all right, you should all be able to see us. You can see there's no Joe. He's sunning himself on holiday, so because we're the dedicated ones of the TurfCast team, we decided to do a stream anyway. He definitely didn't ask us to do it. We just did it because we wanted to. Joe's sunning himself. That's where all the sponsor money's gone. So I'm joined by Sam from Clarets Roundup and Andrew from Always Claret. How are we doing, lads?
Yeah, man, all good. All good. Front and centre today. I'm in the top left. What's this about?
I think it's because I did you first. I've no idea what I'm doing, to be honest with you. It's been that long since I hosted one that I've actually forgot how to do it. Andrew, how are you doing, mate? Good to see you on.
Yeah, not bad, mate. No, thank you for having us on.
Yeah, no bother. Always welcome. Couple of comments to go through. So, David Gill's in the chat. Evening, mate. Raj Sharma, evening. Graham Catlow, hi all. David, please tell me the Pardew rumour is exactly that rumour. We'll get onto that because the main theme, we haven't really got a schedule. It's just really a little chat and catch up about the state of the club and the manager situation. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, we did get a little snippet of something from Vinny earlier on the socials about his time at Burnley. So how are we all feeling about the Vinny situation? Have we all calmed down now? A bit more level-headed about it? I mean, we knew it was coming for a little while, but when it happened, it was still a bit like shit. You know what I mean?
I feel like it was. I feel like it was quite raw at the start, wasn't it? Really, I mean, like,
yeah.
As much as we kind of knew it was coming, we didn't really expect it. Like, we kind of thought it'd be another, Brighton of last season situation, Tottenham of last season situation. Like, there's legs to it because he is a good manager, but like, he's still stuck by the club that's given him so much. Because I do still stand by that. We've given Vincent Kompany so much in his managerial career. We've given him his first real taste of actual managerial success, and he's now got the Bayern Munich job on the back of that success. Okay, yeah, fair enough. We got relegated, and that doesn't do us any good. But that one season of getting 101 points and dominating the championship, it just adds to his resume. It's something that potential candidates that we've looked at, like Frank Lampard, don't have. So, and as much as, to be fair, there's another side of me that's calmed down a little bit on the Lampard side of things. Like, I don't want him. I wouldn't say he's a number one target, but the more I think about it, the less angry I'm getting. But I also feel like that's partially me subsiding to the fact that he seems like he's the most likely candidate right now.
He does. We'll get on to some of the candidates because I've just looked at who the bookies' favourites are, and he is currently the bookies' favourites. Andrew, how are you feeling about it all? It's been a week now since he left officially.
Yeah, I'd calmed down a lot about it. Like, as Sam said, the more and more it had gone on, the more I'd accepted that he would go in, and it's Bayern Munich. You can't turn it down. As ridiculous as it is, that a manager who's just been relegated from the Premier League with 5 wins has got the Bayern Munich job. Like, you can't turn it down. So I can't knock him for that. It were how he left. And I think I'd sort of calmed down with it all and sort of made my peace with it. He's gone. We close the book on that. We go to the next chapter. And then he put out that piss poor 50-second video today where I think I read your tweet where he doesn't say much about it, like he just started doing in his press conferences. And I'm sat here now thinking back to what you've said over the season and stuff, and thinking, do you know what? I wish I hadn't backed him. I wish I hadn't supported him. Because do
you know what it is, right?
It still makes me feel like such a tit.
Yeah, I think deep down, I mean, the first thing I tweeted Joel when it was announced that he's gone was told you so. But I didn't want to do that. It's just that I said that I would back him while as a manager, and when he's not, I don't really care about him. The thing that annoyed me about it all was that we always knew it was a stepping stone for him. I think everybody knew he was never going to be at Burnley for the rest of his career. But I thought we might have got more than 2 seasons out of him, and one that was a complete disaster. I genuinely thought we might get another year out of him. And it's just, initially it was just the way that he left without anything. There was no mention of Burnley in his buy-in press conference. There was nothing from anybody at the club until JJ.
I'd rather he didn't say anything though than that.
Well, yeah, but at least he could have just said, "Look." Yeah. I mean, even today, you touched on it there. That was a little bit me, rather than it was. He would, and I enjoyed that, and it still felt a little bit like that for him. But yeah, we move on. I mean, I personally, I'm not that fussed he's gone. I think the manner of the way he went was a little bit, and part of me is a bit like, I was Bayern's 5th, 6th choice, so I'm a bit like,
it leaves a sour taste in the mouth.
Leaves a sour taste, but that's a bit like me just being a bit like a jilted sort of ex-wing. Yeah, well, his 5th choice, so I think it's just that little bit hurt.
No, I think that's a fair representation though. Like, I think all sides of us and Bayern and everything else, I think everything's been pretty set in stone. He's not their first choice manager. No. But we also have to accept that this is Bayern Munich, and as soon as they come for your 4th, 5th, 6th choice manager, all right, it's Vincent Kompany, whatever. Could have been anybody's manager. And a lot of managers would have taken that call, and a lot of managers would have taken that opportunity. So you can't knock him for that. I just think there is a manner in the way that you leave, and I think my only gripe with it is, okay, yeah, it's Bayern Munich, but you've not actually been there yet. Like, so you don't have to act like you're above us at this moment. Like, that's what it felt like to me. It felt very much like, I can't really talk about Burnley because it's Burnley and I'm out of Bayern. Like, I'm a bit better than Burnley now. It's like, we gave you the opportunity to be a successful manager. You had your first real success. We took you off the back of Anderlecht. They weren't setting the world alight. The highest league finish was 3rd. They got to a final of a Belgium Cup and lost. Like, that's nothing really to shout about. That's in Belgium. We gave you the opportunity in one of the most difficult divisions in the entire world. Yeah. And finished first resoundingly with 101 points. That's the thing that people go back to. People don't go back to your time at Anderlecht and say, well, it was good at Anderlecht, so we'll bring him in. You go back to the 101 Centurion season where you were promoted in February, and that's at Burnley. So you have to acknowledge that. And I don't think he has, which is why, in my opinion, that's the thing that leaves a sour taste.
Yeah, that and the whole buying into this is a project, we're in it together thing. Like, everything, I think I said it last time I was on this was everything towards the end was, we'll get better. It'll be better next time. Next season we'll get better. It was never now. It was never we'll fix it now when we'll be good now. It was always next time. So you start thinking he's here for long term. He's going to fix it, which is why I started to say, well, he's not going, so I'll back him as a manager. Again, I wish I'd not said that now. But just look at some of the comments. So quite a few to scroll back. I completely forgot there was comments. Sorry. I am not a professional. And I have just
not media trained
like Joe, who's very slick, very professional. Lampard, we'll cover that one. It was a VK project last season. Yeah, it did feel a bit like that. Bellamy having a shout for the job. Yeah, he's one of the favourites. We'll come on to that. Don't rule out Corberan or Cooper yet. I think Cooper ruled himself out, but he's still on the list. And Corberan, I think, was linked with Leicester. So I think
it's a good move.
Sasha said he's going Leicester today.
So I think he's going in there. a lot of Lampard doesn't look popular at all, but just a sample there. Can't say I really like Lampard. I think that's a theme. We might as well get on to the new manager situation. So I looked earlier. I can't share my screen because I don't know. So if Joe was here, do it.
But transparency is the thing that we all love. We're just transparent.
I'm just being honest with you. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll buff our way through it. It's fine. So Frank Lampard is the favourite to get it, and that's with Sky Bet, odds of 4-6. Craig Bellamy, second favourite at 4-1. So Bellamy, we know, is in charge at the minute. Acting head coach, interesting, not manager. And with Mike Jackson as his assistant. So he's managing now. Bit pointless because there's nobody there. Everyone's on holiday. So I don't know who he's managing, but fair enough. He's got that on his CV. Then we've got Scott Parker, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Steve Cooper, who are the sort of top five. I can't see Cooper or Ruud van Nistelrooy. I really can't. I did for a little bit last week think Ruud might be coming because I think there was a bit of hysteria about it. But the more I think about it, I don't think it's going to be Cooper or Van Nistelrooy. I personally think it's going to be Frank Lampard. And I think the only way Bellamy gets it is if Lampard doesn't want it. What do you guys think?
For me personally, I'm so worried about the whole Craig Bellamy thing. Like, as much as people want to spin it as he's seen the system and all this stuff, he's seen the system from an assistant coach standpoint. Yes, he's coached the players. Yes, he knows the players. The only positive thing that he has is that he knows the environment. That's it. For me, being an assistant coach is so different from being the guy that makes all the actual decisions. He doesn't have his own coaching staff because he's not worked at clubs before, so he doesn't know who he'd bring in. So that'd just be a mix and grab and look in a lucky dip bag and see, are you available? Are you available to come and help me? He'd get Mike Jackson to help him. If you'd have said Mike Jackson at the end of last season was going to be our, not last season, the last season we came down was going to be our interim manager, you'd have said, what are you talking about? He's the under-21s coach. Like, it's crazy to think that now this guy who's gone from an under-21s coach is now potentially going to be our assistant coach, and our head coach is going to be last year's assistant coach. I find that really weird, and I find that quite strange. Not strange, because I do understand people's perspectives on it, but I find it weird that people think that he should be number one choice. Like, as if there's 7 managers in a list, but you'd rather take the assistant manager from last season. The only positive he has is he knows the environment. Like, that's it. He doesn't have managerial experience. He doesn't know how to set up tactically. He doesn't know how to sit in front of a group of players. Everybody talking about, oh, he's the guy we should bring in. We should bring in a manager. We should find a manager to replace the manager we've just lost. That's what we should do. So all the names that are getting thrown around, that's why I've changed my tactic on Lampard. I don't agree with Lampard being number one choice, even slightly. But Frank Lampard has a lot more on his CV than Craig Bellamy does as a manager. I mean, fair enough, he kept Everton in the Premier League. Fair enough. Like, that's a feat in itself. Like, you can take that and say fair enough. His downside is the last time he was in the Championship, he had the most expensive Championship side ever assembled and didn't go up and lost in the playoff final. He did go to Chelsea. Granted, they managed to get the Champions League. My only thing with him is he hasn't actually had or been at a club really where he's been able to fully build his team, because Everton have been going through the financial situations that they've been going through. We are in a much better place. I feel like for Frank Lampard as a manager, he's coming into what would be his best setup situation for success, because we are easily one of the powerhouses in the Championship off the bat. We've got easily one of the biggest budgets. We've got easily one of the best squads. We've got a good owner who's proved that he'll back a manager. I think this is a different situation with regards to Frank Lampard. I don't think you can paint it the same necessarily. Does that mean he's my number one? Absolutely not. But if the names are now narrowing down to last year's assistant manager or Frank Lampard, in my opinion, it's Frank Lampard because he got managerial experience. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's a with Bellamy.
I think the whole Bellamy thing is coming off the back of he managed to get a result at Chelsea. And did he get a result at Chelsea? He got a result at Chelsea, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he spoke very well, didn't he, in the press conference? And then I think people responded to his overlap interview really well as well, because he came across great. And I think the idea is exactly what you said, Sam, is that he's basically, he knows the system, he knows the players, and he'll just carry on what Company started. I think that's the sort of fairy tale thing with Bellamy. I sort of agree with you. I don't think he's necessarily the best fit. I think there's probably worse appointments we could make, but I don't think he's the best fit at the minute. And I did just see a comment a little bit further down from Ray 833. Their managers didn't start off as managers. Everyone's got to start somewhere, I guess. And if you're gonna give someone a crack at the first managerial experience, you do it in the Championship, don't you? Rather than
but not when the expectations are so different. The
True.
expectations are high. It's not like you're taking over Rotherham and saying do your best and get 50 points potentially. You're saying you either need playoffs or automatic promotion. That's it.
Yeah, true.
So if he fails, to be fair, the way we're all pitching it as well, we're saying we need to get top 2. We have to get automatic promotion. Just based off of all the variables that we've got, we do have the biggest squad, best players, good owners, most money. Realistically, we are looking at that top 2. So I would say, and just like everybody else said, and this is the same as when we had Company, if Company is still, 5th, 6th, 7th after his first 10 games, are we axing him? Everybody said yeah. So are we not doing the same for Bellamy? And my opinion is, and you can speak in a second, Andy. I do apologise. You know what my
I've
thing
missed
is,
the Sam rant.
there's always a level of expectation as well, and even from a fan perspective, my expectation in this situation, and like I say, I completely understand people's opinions, and I also totally love that, by the way, and I also understand people saying about Bellamy getting that experience. My expectations as a fan are now higher than I think they have been being a Burnley fan in a while. I've gone into a lot of seasons very pessimistic. This season is my openly optimistic. We should be getting top 2. Getting Bellamy as a manager does not then fill me with that confidence that I'm going into next season with. That's an appointment where I would go, ooh, does that actually fit how I'm feeling right now? Because Bellamy almost to me feels like a really big risk. And if it doesn't work, people are then just going to go lean on that side and go, well, he's not got managerial experience. He's come in to do this and da-da-da-da. I don't want to be West Brom in 2-3 seasons' time. I don't want to be sat in the Championship, 2 or 3 good players, but then scraping down at the bottom, signing players from Rotherham, seeing if they can be any good, and just sitting there, mid-table, hoping for playoffs and losing in the semi-final. I'd hate to go back to that. We've got bigger expectations now, and in my opinion, the first managerial appointment, that's the biggest precedent the club can set. And for me, if it's Bellamy, that just goes from here a little bit down in my estimation. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. Andy, what's yours, mate?
Yeah. Started off when Company went, I started off thinking, oh yeah, Bellamy, get him in straight away. But he knows the system, he knows the players, he knows the environment. It'd be brilliant. Have him as the manager, Mike Jackson as number 2. Keep it like that, absolutely fine. And then the more I've sort of sat and thought on it, Bellamy, he's had his issues this year. Did he get declared bankrupt? And he's had some issues with his he's had his mental health issues as well, hasn't he? And he's not the sort of character that I want as a manager. He's very hot-headed, very, we saw when he were at them lockdown road in Liverpool what he can be like on the pitch. He spoke well. He got the result at Chelsea, but he's not a manager. I still want him to stick around. I still want him to be involved in the club because I think it'd be good to have round. And I think if we were in the position we were in 2 years ago where we took Company, I'd be willing to take that risk. He's not managed before, but, there's no expectations there. So we can take that risk. Like Sam said, we need to go up this season. Not necessarily for, we need the finances or anything like that. I think we've come from the last 10 years, we've pretty much been a Premier League club bar 2 seasons, maybe 3. The expectation is that not this season coming, but the season after that, we will be a Premier League club again, whether it's from automatic promotion or playoffs. And we need someone to get us there. And I don't think Bellamy's the right fit for that. Lampard, he could probably do it for us. It's a risk for me because he's had a good bit of time out of football now. He didn't do it with Derby. all right, he kept Everton up. You got Chelsea to Champions League, but Chelsea are a team that should be getting to the Champions League. Everton are a team that should be staying up. Derby are a team that should be getting into the playoffs. So he's not a name that excites me. The only name that's been rumoured, and I've even got a fucking graphic prepared just in case, is Van Nistelrooy. I know it's not going to happen, but when there was all the excitement, I was like, right, I need to get something sorted. And even that, I don't know much about his managerial career. It's
That's
just
the
a
thing.
big name that
That's
gets
literally
me.
what I was going to ask. I was literally just going to say, what is it that's exciting about Rude? Is it from what we've seen him do so
Just a
far,
name.
or is it just that he's a name? Yeah, because
It's
Lampard's
just
just
a
a name
name.
as well. But the issue is, we know what Lampard's done because he's managed in this country,
Exactly.
whereas Rude hasn't managed in this country, and that'll be a shock as well. Just go through some of the comments. I mean, I sort of understand Lampard. He should have got Derby up, but it's the playoffs and it's a bit of a lottery in the playoffs, and he missed out on the playoffs. But realistically, he probably should have got them up automatically. Everton, yeah, he did well, and Chelsea, no one's really succeeded there.
No.
And I know it is, and he's a club legend. It's always going to be difficult for him. But let's look at some of the comments we've got. John Corbett, do you think if they bring Lampard in, Bellamy and Jackson as assistant manager and first team coach is a good idea? Do you think they'll stay around, or do you think it'll just be a complete clean sweep? Because surely Pace is going to hire someone who shares the same philosophy. Otherwise, it's a complete start again, isn't it?
I think they have to stick around just for the simple fact that they haven't walked now.
Yeah.
Like I'd keep it, even if it's a case of speaking with Jackson and saying, look, can you go back to under 20? You know, be involved with them, and we still want you in and around as coaches. Like, it's not going to do us any harm, even if Lampard, he'll bring in his own assistant manager, he'll bring in his own coaching staff, but it's not going to do any harm having two lads who've been round to see this group of players this season into the next.
But then obviously then there is the side of Bellamy's career, which is, do you then want to be shipped out from being an assistant coach and then told, oh no, I'm bringing somebody else in, you can stick around if you like? That doesn't actually do Bellamy any good in his career. My issue with this though is loyalty only gets you so far. And in this situation, when we've talked about things like, you know, extending Jay Rodriguez for a year, extending Ashley Barnes like the season before, keeping players like Cork around last year, that's where loyalty makes sense, because you're keeping an old head in who doesn't have to play, but he's in training every day. He's showing them young lads exactly how they need to play and exactly what they need to do. You bring a new manager in, are you going to sit there and tell them, oh no, we've got two lads already, so you've got to use them? You're not going to do that. So, but then is that then not almost blackmailing you into making Bellamy the manager, saying like, listen, I stuck around, like, what's the crack? Like,
yeah,
football is a cutthroat business. You have to make the right appointment. So if Bellamy doesn't work as the right appointment, which in my opinion it isn't, you have to make the right decision. If Bellamy wants to move on and be an assistant coach somewhere, amazing. That's fantastic for his career. I'd thank him for all his hard work and the fact that he stuck by us. He would always have my respect for that. But at the same time, you can't sit there and be like, nobody can really sit there and say Craig Bellamy is the guy. Because if Carlos Corberán picked up the phone to somebody tomorrow and said, I am willing to leave West Brom and come to Burnley, no one's picking Craig Bellamy over Carlos Corberán.
no.
If Mark Robbins did the exact same thing, no one's picking Craig Bellamy over Mark Robbins. So we need to get away from this idea of let's settle for Bellamy because of this. That means nothing. Like, it means a lot to Burnley fans from the perspective of, well done, you've stayed, amazing. But now we still need a manager. Again, it goes back to the whole thing that football's built around. Nobody is bigger than the club. So just because you've stayed doesn't mean we now owe you the managerial job. There's so many managers out there that we could be looking at. There's so many managers in other countries we could be looking at, just like we did with Company. We took that risk with Company, but he had managerial experience. He'd shown a natural progression at Anderlecht. Okay, regardless whether or not it was success, should we say. I don't think personally it was. But taking them from 8th to 3rd, it's a bit of a jump. I know it's the Belgian league, but it's still a bit of a jump. It showed some natural progression. And I think that move was right for us at the time. And it was right for him at the time. In my opinion, you cannot look at this situation now and say Craig Bellamy is everybody's favourite. Because if you line up 5 or 6 actual managers, what on earth? Like, no one would pick him. You just wouldn't. And that's the side of it that I can't get my head around is, are you all just settling for Bellamy because of this fantastic moment of, wow, I left because Company was there. Company's gone now. He only gave you a 50-second video. I'm back. I'm back, baby. I'm in the front door. Managerial job's mine. Where do I sign on the dotted line? In my opinion, that's not how you appoint a manager. In my opinion, it's just as black and white as that. You don't appoint a manager just because they've stayed. That's my only thing.
No, I agree with that. You do. You appoint the right man for the job, don't you? Just a quick comment there from Twin Cities Clarets, who's got that little subscribe thing there. Thanks, mate. American here, the incredible rate of manager churn in the PM Premier League, as I imagine, is it? And the Championship is crazy. It's been hard to wrap my head around how quickly even fans of decent clubs call for the sack. Well, the manager's always the firing line, isn't he? Even if it's the players who are to blame, really, it's the manager's the sort of figurehead. But yeah, the churn of managers this year, potentially it's massive throughout the Premier League. Klopp's gone already. I know he's got an appointment, but he's gone. We don't know what's happening with Ten Hag, if he's leaving or not. Who else has left? Chelsea's manager, whose name's completely gone out of my head. He left, didn't he?
Pochettino.
Pochettino went. Yeah, De Zerbi.
Yeah.
There's all these managers gone from the Premier League.
It's always a merry-go-round, managers changing teams. And a lot of a lot of them make sense, even from a Premier League perspective. Like, I don't think Ten Hag's the right manager for Man United. I think Klopp's probably left the season too early, in my opinion. I also think he did himself a disservice by announcing that he was leaving in October for some strange reason. Do you remember when that never works? Do you remember when Fergie first announced he was retiring and United went to shit, so he backtracked? Oh yeah. And then the next season they won the league and then did it properly and announced literally with 2 games left as they literally won the title. Yeah,
that's how you do it.
I just think it's a mad situation, to be fair. But if you're an American fan, I've seen it in the NFL and I've seen it in the NBA. It is pretty much exactly the same. If you don't fit the system and you don't get instant success when you should get instant success, you just move on. They maybe give you 1 or 2 seasons to see if you can figure it out. If you don't, you're gone. In the Premier League, especially, it is extremely cutthroat.
Yeah, definitely. A few more comments. So I saw one about Dyche was a bit of a uninspiring appointment when he got the job, which is fair enough, and he did all right, didn't he?
Yeah. When he got that, I was gutted because I wanted Mick McCarthy. So whoever I say I want as the manager, just ignore me because I will get it wrong. Because I wanted Dyche gone after 6 months as well. So
to be fair, I think with Dyche though, I think he couldn't have come in at a worse time because he'd come in off the back of a manager who had just started to try and play a different style of play, and it had worked. What were we that season when he left? Were we like 2nd or 3rd? We were in a really good spot when Eddie Howe left, weren't we?
Yeah,
we were up near playoffs.
Near playoffs, I think. Yeah.
We were in a decent enough position for Burnley at that time, and he left to go back to his boyhood club. And I think everybody just kind of thought, no, like we've just started getting everything going. We signed Jelly Vossen and everything, and everybody were like, oh, he's Belgium's next big striker, Jelly Vossen, and all that stuff. And we really thought like this is it. And then we got Dyche, and it was a bit like, oh, that's quite underwhelming. But it did end up working out. So, like I said, there is obviously that side of it with Bellamy, but my issue is Dyche was still a manager. He was manager of Watford. Like the club appointed a manager and got a manager. Like, you're not going to go down to, your local news agents and ask the guy behind counter, do you want to come, manage Burnley? It don't make any sense. You're just not going to do that, are you? You're going to appoint a manager. So
you are.
Yeah.
You are. Right, so a few comments, so we might as well bring him up. Pardew has obviously been linked in the last couple of days. Completely mental. Surely we're not going to get Pardew, are we? Does anybody want Pardew?
Is it true that he was actually on TalkSport?
I saw it, but obviously I'm not on Twitter, so I've only seen what it's like on an Instagram reel and stuff. I saw it and he got asked, it looked like he got asked whether he'd spoken to Burnley about it, and he was very sort of not confirming it either way. Sort of like, where he sort of suggests, I'm saying no, but I have, sort of thing. Like that.
What I got from it was that he actually liked the idea.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But he's been out of the game so long. Surely Pace isn't going to go for Pardew. Surely he wants to go for this young, fresh manager, doesn't he? For his rebranded Burnley. Surely
these names like Steve Bruce and stuff like that, like that. In my opinion, I think they're just names thrown in because they're not in a job. Like,
has Bruce been thrown in?
But it happens all the time. Though. Who's that?
Bruce. Has he been linked?
I swear he's been linked to this. I swear I've seen it somewhere, but I don't know. I just think it's a bit like. No, I don't know. I can't remember where I've seen it, but I just think it's a weird name to throw out there. But I think it's an easy name to throw out there as well. Like managers that aren't in a job, it's so easy to just go, oh, they're free and Burnley don't have a manager. Let's put two and two together and just say that it could happen. Like, you could do that with about 50 managers. Like, it doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. It's still up in the air though, isn't it? Like, nobody knows who it's actually leaning to.
No, definitely not. I mean, does it have to be someone who's all the ones that have been linked to managers who currently don't have a job, like or leaving their clubs? Does it have to be some? Surely we can go and poach someone if we really want someone from a club. Surely, we're in that sort of position. Bruce never mentioned it this morning. I thought Bruce had retired, so I was surprised to see that. Fabregas, he was another name I think loosely linked. But again, is he just a name? I don't know.
All these names were linked with, they're just ex-player names, aren't they? Just big ex-player names, that's all.
I think that's it. I think people know that Pace wants a sort of blockbuster name, doesn't he? So they're just chucking names out there now. Super Wow in the chat. Good to see you, big man. If it is you, I don't know if it is. If it is you, I'm sorry about everything I said. It screams Big Sam Allardyce. Let's not go down the Allardyce route, shall we not? Not for me personally. But yeah, that's a good shout from John Corbett. If we're going to poach Mark Robbins as the man, I think he'd be great. I think he'd be great as well, Mark Robbins. Have we got enough to poach him now? I don't know. Is Burnley attractive to him?
We can't go start saying that we're going to poach Mark Robbins, because otherwise all Coventry fans will jump on. But yeah, we've got to. Yeah. We should do. We should go for him.
We should.
The thing is, that we're in, like, we have such a pulling power. Like, I think so anyway. But obviously, I am very biased. But I think we've got a lot to offer a manager, and I think based on what based on what people have seen with Company, just like we've done with Maatsen, just like we've done with Teller, you can get to a Champions League final, you can win the Bundesliga, you can come to Burnley and you can be pretty successful. You can come and get relegated at Burnley and become Bayern Munich manager. Like, there is a lot that we can offer to a manager. So if you're Mark Robbins and you're sat there at Coventry, who until last season, didn't even know if they could play at their own stadium, you've got Burnley, who look like a relatively steady ship now. We've got a fair bit of money, about £100 million worth of player sales that we can throw out there if we needed to. We've got a lot of things going for us. I'd like to think that we can, obviously package a pretty decent deal to Mark Robbins and also sell the project, as people like to get annoyed about. But we can sell the projects that we're trying to sell to a lot of people. I think we do have a fair bit of pulling power, but again, there's just like these comments as well, like, amazing. Thank you so much for commenting, but there's just so many names that you're all putting out there. Like, you're not just saying people's names. It's like there's only going to be one. We've seen like 20 people's names now. Like, we have no idea.
Yeah, I will say this, that the chat is absolutely on fire, and because I don't really know what I'm doing, I can't keep up. Bellamy will get the job, and next year you'll have to eat your words. We'll see.
I'm fine with that. I've said that before about so many things. I'm very, very, very open to somebody offering me that slice of humble pie. I don't care. If he ends up doing great, fine. I don't lose anything for being wrong. I just gain it. It doesn't do me any justice. Like, honestly.
I must admit, it has been like when Company left, I did have a dream that, we get Bellamy in. We go to Ewood Park, we win it again there, but we're actually allowed the trophy. And then just full circle moment of watching Bellamy lift the trophy at Ewood Park and sticking his fingers up at them. I'd accept that.
It'd be class, wouldn't it? It would be class. But like I say, like we're talking about now. We're not talking about like what could happen. And I think that's, in my opinion, which isn't gospel, by the way, so I'm not saying that, but like in my opinion, it's not the move. Okay, it's 6 months' time. You can sit there and envisage that. Oh, it's going well. We're top of the league. Bellamy, we've conceded 3 goals all season. We've lost once. All right, but I can say a lot of things like that too. I could be a millionaire in 6 months, but I'm not. I'm probably not going to be. Like, and in my opinion, the probability of Craig Bellamy having us top of the championship at the midpoint of next season, in my opinion, is low. I would rather go for a manager like people are saying, like Knutson, like the lad who I said was linked to Sunderland. What's his name? That Raphael Vicky, is it? The guy from Young Boys, like the old Switzerland manager.
Yeah.
Like, he'd be a good shout. There's a lot of managers out there that you could go for. So yeah. I just find that argument weird. I know, like we keep saying it, but would you not rather have a manager to manage your football club? Like,
yeah. Suey there just said the same name as you, Knutson. Klopp isn't up to much, true, but he did say once a year out, so maybe we'll get him next year. Ollie's at the wheel. I said Ollie. I thought Ollie would be a cracking manager for this team. But what else have we got? We've got Mark Lancaster. Mark Robbins doesn't convince me, to be honest. He's done okay at Coventry, but under very little expectation, and the expectation that Burnley would be so much higher. Yeah, that's true. I mean, whoever comes in is going to be sort of under pressure to get straight back up, isn't he? Twin City Clarets. If Pace wants headlines, here you go, Emma Hayes. She's just accepted the USA job, hasn't she? Which is like massive in the women's game. So I don't think we've got a chance there.
She's going to do bits for them as well because they've got a great squad.
Yeah, they have. And she's a good manager. Lee Greenwood, Bellamy announced as caretaker, tells me it's going to be a long time before anybody is confirmed as permanent, which, I was going to mention about like, when do we realistically need to make this appointment? Because we've got the Euros coming up. Do we need someone in before then, which is 2 weeks? Or do we see the Euros out and then bring someone in? Is the new manager in charge of transfers, or is that already sort of decided by the club's philosophy and how they want to play, like a bit of a Brighton model? What do we think? When do we think we realistically need to get a manager in?
For me, ideally for me, before end of June. But I think we will probably wait till the Euros are done and see where we are then, to be fair. Yeah,
definitely. Transfer window opens in a few weeks. We need to get it sorted. Yeah, that's definitely for me getting in before there. Sui says Stevie G. I don't think we'll get him, mate. I think he's on a pretty good wedge over where he is. Corky manager. See, I said that, and I got shot down. But I think he'll be involved. I do think Jack Cork will be involved at some point in the coaching staff.
Oh, 100%.
Nick Ford. Bellamy is a choice for keeping consistency rather than creating a blank slate. But then it goes back to, do we want that, or do we just want someone with fresh ideas? I don't know. Needs to be before players coming back. Don't be the manager running recruitment. 100%. Look who VK brought in. Yeah, that's what I mean. So whether it's going to be the manager doing it or not, or whether the targets have already been decided, I don't know. There might be a few more shouts following the Euros from Paul Yates. Gareth might be a shout. Yeah, there could be. I don't think they'll wait that long. I mean, surely conversations with Company and Bayern started a few weeks ago. Surely it wasn't just an overnight thing where Bayern thought Leicester in Company. So surely Pace has been looking at this for a little while now. And I'd heard that they'd interviewed. I don't know about you guys, but I'd heard the interviews had already happened.
Yeah, I heard they've started interviewing a few people. I've heard Lampard's already spoken to the club a lot.
Yeah, right? That's what I'd heard as well.
But I think, like I say, I also just think, like, and again, I know we've talked about Bellamy loads, but I also think it's good to put that disclaimer out there as well, that it is also, again, another very easy link. It just is. He's the caretaker manager now. And I think because of that situation, I just think people will easily look at him and go, okay, he's the interim manager currently. come the end of the Euros, is there going to be somebody available? If there isn't, I reckon you do probably make it permanent. I reckon you do turn around and say, just keep it permanent, because if you haven't managed to get somebody in a month, like, and you've not been able to sell the project and you've not found the ideal candidate, then fair enough, make that decision. But my thing is, it's just exactly the same as Bayern Munich have done with Vincent Kompany. We will then, in my opinion, if we do go for Bellamy, we will be settling. And there's no other way to paint that. He will not be the first choice to go for that job. And like I say, you could line up so many managers in there and put Bellamy in the middle. And I reckon so many people would say any of the actual managers. It's just my opinion. I think there's a lot of names that can be thrown out there. And I definitely think come the end of July or the beginning of July, middle of July, when the Euros is finished, at that point, I think is when you'll turn around and you'll say, okay, we haven't found anybody at this point. Now let's go with Bellamy. Bellamy's got an understanding of the club. That they're the positives. He's got an understanding of the club. He doesn't have to relearn the environment. He understands the ethos of how we want things. He knows the players that are already there. He may be able to turn players like Zeruri and Benson on side a little bit easier because he's already worked with them, and it's now his team, not Kompany's team. So there are absolutely positives to having Bellamy as the manager. However, it just goes back to that whole thing of he just wouldn't be people's first choice, in my opinion, and I don't think he's the club's first choice. Because that's why he's not been appointed the manager. He's been appointed the caretaker manager while they look for somebody else. So he's not the club's first choice. So
I was just going to say that. I was going to say if he were the club's first choice, he'd be the manager, not caretaker. So we're obviously looking for someone. Like I say, we're looking for someone, a big name, looking for someone to come in as permanent manager. If it were going to be Bellamy, he'd have already got it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a comment here that I just need to find from Sean Rubinho. Get the impression Burnley are waiting on Cooper getting the Leicester or Brighton job, and if he doesn't, then they might go for him as opposed to someone else. This is a massive decision. Just to touch on that, I think some of it might, now that Leicester have lost their manager, I think some of that might depend on who they get as well.
Yeah.
And obviously the manager pool's been shrunk because Kieran McKenna signed his new contract, so he's staying at Ipswich. And then, so he's obviously not going to go to Chelsea, Leicester, whoever. Chelsea have nicked Leicester's manager. Leicester will be in the same market or similar market to what we are for a manager. Does that make it more difficult for us, or what do you think? Or do you think there's something in that we might be waiting to see what happens with managers like Cooper? And then, if he's first choice and he decides he doesn't fancy Leicester or Brighton, do we then go for him? Or if he does go and decides, I fancy a Leicester job. Does that then mean we move to our second choice down the list? Don't know.
I think you are right, mate. I think it's definitely it'll be the way that the club is looking at it. They're not sat there looking at, we'll just focus on us now, because I in football people do look. Footballers have always come out and said, like, yeah, of course we look at other teams' results, of course we do. Like, and this is the same situation. Of course, they're going to be looking at who appoints who, because it does change the landscape of how things are going to go. My thing is, and we said it last week, everybody has and is entitled to pick who they would like to be their manager. In my opinion, Carlos Corberán is for me the best managerial appointment we can make. He's made natural progression with West Brom. They were a mid-table team when he took over. He's took them to the playoffs. That's a progression on a much lower budget than a lot of the top teams did. And he managed to lose to the eventual team that got promoted anyway against another financial powerhouse in Leeds. Like, he is a very, very good manager on what is a very strapped budget at a pretty stagnant championship team. Like, in my opinion, he's the one who's proven the most. Similar to like when people are saying about they're not convinced with Robbins. Like, Robbins got Coventry pretty close to getting up numerous times. He got him into the playoff final, like against Luton. Like, he's easily got a pedigree of, let's really give this championship a go. And he's got credibility in the league because he's nearly got them there a fair few times. It goes back to the similar side of it with Lampard. Yes, there's negatives to him. Of course there is. And that's why people lean a lot more on the let's not get Lampard. But for me, they still have more than other people we're being linked with. And that for me is why you can. But for me, Carlos Corberán is just, I would love it. It would just be so good because the weapons that he would have at his disposal and the tactical capabilities that he has as a manager, his ability to change it in system, in game, just like we saw with Kompany, and having all these fantastic players, I genuinely think he would thrive under us. I really do. And the whole thing with, I know the second leg against Southampton was poor from them. It was. But again, look who they're playing. They're playing the team that eventually ended up having to go and sit back against Leeds, who were dominating that playoff final. And they've beaten them 3 times this season of Southampton. So they're a pretty decent team, and they're now in the Premier League. So, yeah, I think it's but again, it is just a complete managerial merry-go-round for ourselves as well. You can throw so many names out there and everybody has an ideal. That's why there's no right or wrong opinion. I'm just saying what I would like and what I wouldn't like. Just like Neil's doing the same, just like Andy's doing the same, just like everybody in the comments is doing the same. Like, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. You just have
that's the beauty of football, isn't it? Everyone's got an opinion and not everyone agrees. I'm just looking on Sky Bet, right? So they've meant basically all the names that we've mentioned are on there. But interestingly, Sky Bet have got Alan Pardew as 4th favourite. So they've got Lampard as favourite, Bellamy 2nd, Scott Parker, who's not been mentioned. I don't think he'd be that bad, Scott Parker. I think he'd be all right.
I don't think he'd be bad, but I think he's one of the ones that people have pitched and people are like, nah, it's not happening.
Yeah. But Alan Pardew is same odds as Ruud van Nistelrooy to come, so that's not going to happen, is it? David Moyes is still floating around. I can't see David Moyes one little bit. I don't think he fits Pace's profile of what he's looking for.
He can't drop down. Like, he did a good job at West Ham. Like, they just want a different direction, and that's fair enough. But he can't drop down. He's a great manager.
Yeah,
he won't drop down to come to us. No chance. He'll hang on for another Prem job.
I think the way that we would have got Moyes would have been if Vinny had gone during the season, and Moyes was available. He probably would have come then, like he did to Sunderland when they were in the Prem, didn't he? I can't see us getting that. But yeah, Parker. A few people have come in. Parker could get us back up, but wouldn't be back in to keep us in the Prem. Scott Parker will be my second choice from the True Red. I don't think he'd be that bad a shout, Scott Parker.
No, I think he'd be a good man.
Could you think of a worse top 4 in the betting market? Yeah.
Thing is, though, the betting market, it's not like gospel, is it? Like, it can change if someone sticks 50 quid on. Like,
definitely.
Really.
And it's all like the Pardew thing being top 4. Tell me where Alan Pardew was before the whole interview with TalkSport. I bet he wasn't even on there. I bet his name wasn't even thrown in there. One thing's been brought up, and now
I thought he retired. I
didn't think it was about.
Yeah.
So you can't, like you say, you can't take that as gospel and stuff like that. But to be fair, I also kind of just want to know the managerial side of things, just because I would love to know what our squad's going to look like next season. I want to know what that manager who comes in, what he sees, or what areas he thinks that we need. Because obviously, from our perspective, we've gone over it a million times. We need a left back. We could do with another central midfielder. The striker position's an issue. There's a clear issue coming in with regards to goalkeeper, because Trafford's getting linked with 3 or 4 big teams in the Premier League. So you have no idea what can really, transpire with that. Have Bridges been burnt too much with Muric? Is it going to be Trafford out and then Muric closely followed behind to a club in Europe? He was linked with Union Berlin and clubs like Hoffenheim in January. We managed to turn it round. Have those bridges been burnt? Do we need replacements for Zaroury and Benson? This team is going to look so different if all of these situations are not sorted. And I think that managerial appointment also sways the way that these players, the way that their careers go at Burnley Football Club. And then obviously off the back of that is who you replace them with or who comes in, to fill those gaps. I know we've got a left back coming in from, is it Feyenoord, PSV, isn't it?
Yeah, PSV.
So or whatever it's called.
Yeah. I mean, he's a young kid, but he fits the mold of what we've done over the last couple of years, which is turn a young player into, a pretty, ever present in our team. So, it'd be nice. But I just think we've got there's a lot of other situations that come off the back of this managerial appointment. The style of play you bring in, it all makes it all paints a different picture. So there's a lot more that follows on from this managerial appointment that needs to be right.
There is. Ayrton Senna fan, how has no one mentioned Will Still, or did I miss it? What I will say about Will Still is that man is an inspiration for everybody, particularly people like me who play Football Manager, because he got a job based off Football Manager. So for that, he's always a legend. But I think I'd read that he'd agreed with Sunderland, but then backed out of that, and he's staying where he is.
He's going to Lens, isn't he?
Lens, that's right. So he's going to Lens, but he had verbally agreed Sunderland, but he's going to Lens instead. So I think that's probably why he's not been mentioned, because he's sort of out the running a little bit. Andy, I realised I just interrupted you there. Sorry, mate.
I can't remember what I was going to say, to be honest. Oh, no, that right. I was going to say, just following off what Sam was saying, it'll be interesting to see how Pace is with this manager. Is he going to the whole world and everything that they asked for, or is it going to be a little bit more, right, you get this and that's it? And is this next manager going to be the most beautiful woman in the world, or is she going to be the second or third, but not quite as beautiful as him with big head?
So, see, I said him with a big head. Someone called him Megamind earlier. I thought that was class. So I think I can't remember if I said it on here last time I was on, or I said it in the group chat, but that's what Pace got massively wrong last time, was going all out, showing how much he loved Company. And to me, it felt like he was sort of like overwhelmed that we'd got Company, rather than Company was overwhelmed that he got this job and this opportunity. And for me, it could have made it difficult for Pace to manage him, because fundamentally Company is an employee of the club and Pace is his manager. And if he's going out there saying, he's the most beautiful girl, whatever, surely that makes it difficult to manage him as an employee. So I think that this time he needs to not do that, and he needs to treat that member of staff, the manager coming in, as a member of staff, and not be, you're gorgeous. So I think Pace has hopefully learnt from that. Yeah, fly over Fred, he gave VK way too much power. That's the impression I got. I think when you look back, every time you look at a photo of them together, Pace is all doughy-eyed and looking at him, look, it's Vincent Kompany. He needs to not do that. He needs to, I'm the chairman of this club. This is how it's going to be with the next manager, I think.
I think he will have learned that, though. I really do.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I think he will know that next time you can't set up, like, almost put them on a pedestal, and then, because then that expectation goes, then you can do whatever you want, and you can fail as miserable. In fairness, Vincent Kompany did fail last season. It was horrific last year to watch. 25 points or whatever it was. We were awful to watch. But he still put him on that pedestal even then. And then when it got to the end of the season and he was about to leave, links to Brighton. That's not happening. No, what do you mean? He loves us. He loves Burnley. And then when he finally does leave, you sit there and you say, "Oh, you're a bit quiet, aren't you, Alan? Like, are you gonna poo-poo these ones this time?" No, you just left it. So I think that's one of the only issues for me, and I think that's what he will get right this time. Whoever comes in, it will be, you are the manager, but I am Alan Pace, I am the owner, and what I say goes. And I think that's how he should do. And I think he'll learn from that. I think he'll have learned this time that I gave too much. I need to tone it back a bit this time, and he'll get it. Like, he's done a lot for us as well, Alan Pace. Like, we have to go back to that as well. Yeah. As much as Pace has been naive in areas, Alan Pace has been fantastic for us as a football club, as a brand. He's moved us into America. He's brought us JJ Watt, which has been fantastic. He's brought us some absolutely fantastic moments. He's backed the club financially, and him and his his AOK group have backed us massively. We've been through some great times with him. We've brought in some exciting players finally. The change of direction was his idea. He sat Dyche and made that decision, and he's took us on a bit of a whirlwind. But I've enjoyed the time that he's been involved at Burnley Football Club. I think there's little naiveties here and there, but overall, I think his time at Burnley has been absolutely brilliant. That comment there from Flyover Fred, I'll just bob it on the screen. He's saying about sorry mate, I've also got some I've got a little bit of tech on my side as well. But obviously Visa is doing TST with JJ. They've got to be on the list. Let's just put that disclaimer out there. Liam's been doing the podcast with us. We're all absolutely buzzing for him. Like he's doing something with the club that is absolutely amazing. We're all so chuffed to bits for him, and we're wishing him, JJ, and all the Burnley lads all the best of luck in this tournament. We don't know everything about it. We can't pretend to do. Liam's given us the rundown to basically everything. But I'm still waiting for my shout out, Liam, from JJ to say that he loves me. But other than that, honestly, mate, best of luck and you'll all be great.
Yeah, I genuinely thought we'd have had a message from JJ right now. But I've seen on some socials, and I will say this: JJ is not that great at heading the ball for a big lad. I'm just saying.
I tell you what, though, it went in.
It did go in. It did go in. It did go in.
He got very close to that floor, but that ball did hit the back.
I wouldn't like to be up against him.
No, definitely not.
I wouldn't want to be up against him.
Yeah,
no, it's is it half one kickoff tomorrow, 1:30 or 2:30 or something on TST website? I think you can stream it on there.
I think so. I don't know. I'm a bit out of the loop. Like obviously, I left Twitter, so I'm a little bit out of the loop with stuff like that. Have you seen the one he let in? Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. It put Trafford to shame, that one. Have you seen that, lads? Where he let it through his legs? Oh dear.
Yeah, but then he made a proper flying save like 10 minutes later, and it's like, all right, no, yeah, fair enough.
yeah, he did. But no, it's a quality experience for Liam. And as I say, if he doesn't, I'll put this out now, Liam, get us a signed NFL ball off JJ, mate. Bring it on. You know, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Just get it sorted. And get JJ on the pod to talk about it afterwards, all right? And then we can all have a nice chat with him. Because I feel like I'm the only person who went down to a few games last year and didn't meet him. Like, everyone seemed to meet him.
And I'm like, with Royal Dyche all the time. Every time I went in, it was just Joe and Neil. Like, it's just not the same, is it?
All right.
I'm joking. I'm
I
sorry.
was literally chasing him. On the City game, I was literally chasing him down the street, going, JJ, can I get a picture, please? Like, yeah, of course you can. Hey.
I feel like he just needed, isn't it? It just is needed. But he's just massive as well, isn't he? Like, there's no, like, he's bigger than some of the horses that you see stood on crossroads. Like, he is massive. He'd stand out like a sore thumb. If he were there, I'd be climbing over people, just like, JJ, just breathe on me.
That feels like a good time to start wrapping this. We've made an hour out of having absolutely no content whatsoever. What I will do though is, because there's no sort of admin to do like there normally is, because it's not a full-time show or anything, it's just an ad hoc one we decided to do, is the names at the bottom of the screen are just a quick thank you to people who subscribe to TurfCast, who've paid for Joe's holiday. And so, the names are scrolling down the bottom. If you do want to subscribe, there's a little button. I don't know the technicalities of it. I think we've all established. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think I've blagged my way through it. I think there's a little subscribe button on YouTube. Click on that, sign up, and you'll add your name to the list. And the money, genuinely, it doesn't go on Joe's holidays. It does go towards helping the channel expand and improve. And I know Joe's got some big plans for taking TurfCast up a level next season, when hopefully the football is a little bit better to watch. Because let's be honest, lads, last year was a bit of a slog, wasn't it, doing this? Absolute slog, coming on a Sunday and reliving the hell from the weekend before. Just a few comments before we start wrapping up. Good effort, lads. Cheers, mate. Yeah, it's been a bit of a blag, but I think we got there. Cheers, lads. Any more that we want to bring up, or are we all happy with that, boys?
Sure, I'm quite happy.
I'm quite happy. I think what we've established from that is that none of us have got a clue who we actually want as the next manager. But whoever it is, we'll get behind them and we'll give them support. We don't want them sacked before they've even got to the club. So even if it's someone who we don't necessarily want as first choice, let's get behind them and see how they do. And if they prove us wrong, great.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. That seems like a good place to end it. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Did my best without Joel. He's in Tenerife and he set it up on his phone this afternoon. And I had a quick 5-minute chat to remember what I was doing. So I think we've got there. This will go up as a pod, but I don't know when. So if you've missed it, you can watch it back live. I think it stays on. And he is doing it as a pod. I just don't know when he's going to do it because he's using 5G in wherever he's gone. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks lads for coming on. Sam, it's been a pleasure as always. Andy, thanks for coming on. I think you're like part of TurfCast now anyway. You've been on that amount of times. So thanks everyone. When Joe's back, I'm sure he'll let you all know what the next show program pod will be.
Hopefully it's some Euros content. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll do some Euros content, and no doubt at all when the new manager's announced, we'll be jumping on and doing a live. So
absolutely.
Hopefully that's not too long. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. Catch you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.